Hi there, everyone. My name is Kathe Petchel, and I am on the Hinge team. I work with clients. My title is Client Relations, and I'm here today for a framework short sprint on one of my very favorite topics. The topic is the 5 stages of a team, and this is based on a really old study from 1965. By a professor from Berkeley named Bruce Kaplan. There is a ton of content about this out in the world, but I tried to make it customized for our industry and especially in our day and time right now, as we try to come back after a very trying time where lots of programs have closed, lots of new ones have opened. There's so much interest in our industry in terms of growth, and so much recognition in the early childhood industry for people having, handled COVID really well. I think our industry led the way, even way more than the way more than the elementary schools and public schools, and being as quick as we can during COVID to work with a rough situation. We became essential workers, and what that's left us with, though, is a lot of challenges, and I'm pretty positive. So I like to look at it as opportunities for us to be better and to serve better and to grow our teams in a different way than maybe we did before. One thing that I hear over and over again nationally as I speak to owners and directors at some stages and do a ton of conference speaking. So talk to lots of folks from all over the country. So many of the older staff have left and not come back. We see that in the public schools. There's a huge crisis on getting teachers, and we're hearing stories every day about bus drivers substituting in classrooms and administrators, instead of doing their regular work, they're going in, subbing in a kindergarten classroom and so on. And so it's a world where our expectations are a bit different, and we've had to let go of some of the things we used to do. Most of us, used to prefer 5-day full-time staff members. We wanted staff to be at our schools every day, all day, and we didn't give a lot of flexibility, except for those requests for time off, days off, or holidays or vacations, but we didn't allow flexible schedules, for instance. Or we were really strict with our dress code. We were strict with, all different kind of rules, even cell phones, which I'm still holding the line on that one. But we have had to flex and look at a different group of candidates to work at our schools. Some of the ones, in particular the boomers that have retired or perhaps have health issues or are taking care of elderly parents, for instance, or wanting to spend time with grandchildren. A lot of the boomers have left us. So we're left with different generations to work with. I do a really fun talk on the Generation Zs. They're actually called Zoomers, which I think is kind of cool. They're the children of Gen X's, and they're challenging the heck out of everyone. But there's so many great things about them. This talk isn't about a Zoomer, but it is talking about the elements of what make a good team and maybe some things you could consider. My goal is always for you to walk away from a session with me with a couple action items, things you can do right away, a couple ahas, something I surprise you with, and then maybe a little bit, maybe just a little bit stronger understanding of the big picture and maybe the national picture. One thing I always caution attendees with is to kind of keep an open mind. Something you've tried before, you want to say to me, I've tried that, it doesn't work. Times have changed. So think about, maybe that doesn't work, but how can you make a little nuance, a little switch? For instance, when you're doing your Indeed ads, which has everything to do with our topic today, recruiting and getting a lot of good traction of people that want to work for you, that apply and follow through with the application, fill out everything, do their fingerprints and all their diligence, and then they come to the interview, and then they come to the orientation, and then they come the first day, and they come back after the lunch break. All of those things that we're all struggling with, we want to just make sure that all of those things are fine-tuned. So back to an Indeed ad, we want to make sure we're doing enough variety in the ads, that you're targeting an avatar, your dream person. And so an ad that you do for a Gen Z, for instance, might be very different, should be very different than an ad for a retired school teacher that can develop your curriculum. That might be a boomer or a Gen X, or even the greatest generation. Those kind of older staff members can bring so much legacy information to you. And then you've got the sort of younger generation that can be mentored and coached by these older ones. So again, your ads want to be varied, and targeting the particular avatar, think of it like a character that you want. I want a Gen Zer that, is great with TikTok, because I want them to create some TikTok videos for my team. They can be on Indeed. By the way, Indeed, fun fact, Indeed now allows us to upload up to 10 items that showcase us. So I always upload really beautiful flyers. I talk about my career ladder. I have a TikTok video that a Gen Zer created for me. I've got just a regular welcome video. And so anything you can do to attract different generations is now what you should do. You don't think of it all yourself. You ask your team, just cut corners. That's a great workaround where you can get some of your staff to help you. That's my kind of introduction, but today we're talking about onboarding, and specifically in onboarding, letting your new staff know during the onboarding process the stages of a team. And I love this because when you work with groups of human beings, everyone is different. And that's what we love. We love, or we say we love it anyway. Maybe we don't always. So maybe we should be more honest with ourselves. But we love variety. We like to hire teachers that some have science expertise and some early literature expertise. We've got team members that are great with outdoor classroom, or ones that just communicate like nobody's business to those parents. Really nurturing communicators. So we want to make sure that we're developing a variety of skill sets on our team. What are their meta skills? What are the things they just naturally are really good at? We used to call it unique skills. But however you do it, guess what? The bad news about that is people are different. So they're going to see things in a different way. They're not necessarily going to see eye to eye on how we do cleaning at the end of the day, or how we clean throughout the day. They just want to do early childhood literature, for instance, or they just want to be outside. And we know, being out in the dirt is great for kids. So maybe they don't want to do your cleaning. So again, that brings conflict. So we're going to talk about stages of a team, and I'm going to give you some of the nuances and things I've learned and things that are working. So again, developed by Bruce Tuckman in 1965. It's a tried and true classic study. Much later, the 5th stage of teaming was added, and I think right now that's going to shine a light on, and that is the adjourning part. So we'll talk about that briefly. I actually could do a whole talk on that stage and how we actually say goodbye, or allow someone on our team to say goodbye appropriately. All the stages progress in a set order. It's just human nature. One stage slides into the next stage and into the next stage, and so on. If you introduce this concept at your interview and say, we can't wait to welcome you to our team. Let me tell you a little bit about our team. And then tell them right in the beginning, adding new people is stressful. Change is stressful for everyone, just like it'll be stressful for you to start a new job and learn sort of all about us. It will be stressful for the team. They're going to be so happy to welcome you, but there'll be bumps. You will have a question about your paycheck, or you'll have a question about a sign-out log, or some type of piece of paper you need to fill out at the end of the day, or how our parent communication app works, and it will feel stressful. So just know that from the interview, and then you can go into that. How do you handle change? How do you handle not understanding something? Are you comfortable asking questions? Are you comfortable waiting until someone can answer it? So many times they want an answer right away, especially a Gen Z or a millennial. Why? Kind of like a 2-year-old in a way. And that's not a bad thing. And I hope you're laughing because I'm really not making fun of 2-year-olds or Gen Z or millennials, but that's a characteristic. They want to know why. And probably their brain behind the scenes is thinking, oh, I've got a better idea. That is awesome. So end of the day, if you do a sign out log or check out with everyone, that's the time to talk about it. So again, back to the interview, asking those questions. We're going to want your feedback. We're building our team back coming out of COVID. Tell me what you were doing during COVID, because for them to understand that you and I were working our tails off during COVID, trying to keep our schools open. They maybe were still in high school, or they were taking care of a school-age child, or doing homework and homeschooling. So talking about this in an interview, again, super important. And then using the vocabulary for stages of a team so that everyone from the get-go, from the interview, they know, oh, I'm coming in and I'm going into the forming stage of a team. So knowing that later, you'll want to be able to talk about stages of a team with your entire team. You want to be able to say to them, I wonder what stage we're in right now. What stage do you think we're in right now? And how could we make any corrections, answer questions to mitigate it, to mitigate the impact and move on. And then also in the interview, asking questions about conflict resolution, for instance. I want to take a minute, and this is a very different session than I usually do in terms of my slides. Usually I have so much content on my slides that you almost can't think straight, but I hope that you screenshot or download my slides and use them later. This talk, I'm just talking, but I'm very happy for you to reach out and ask me for more detailed information. I have about 4 other presentations particular to this topic with all kinds of information. But this time I'm just talking about the 5 stages and hoping you can interact with me. If you've got questions, certainly ask me later. My email is kpetchel@hingeadvisors.com. You can catch me on our website, and I love to talk shop. So before we go into the 4 stages, actually 5 stages now, let's consider the teams we have, because one tends to think, oh, my whole school is a team if you have one location, or each location is a team. And that's totally true. But think about what other teams you have. You have teams that are management teams. And so I would say to you, as I'm going through this discussion, think about which of your teams are in which stages of a team. So are your managers doing really well? And maybe they're actually performing. And your infant teachers, because you've had to replace a couple or there's been some turnover, they're in the beginning stage of forming and starting over again. Sort of like one of the board games we had when we were kids, and you have to go all the way back to go. That's what happens in the stages of a teaming. If you're exiting staff, adjourning them, and adding new staff, even if you haven't adjourned anyone, you start at the beginning again. A well-run team, and a team that is pretty secure and trusting with each other and trusting of their own skills, will slide right through the stages much faster if they have this knowledge and also a clear knowledge about your program. So other teams you might have, this is one that gets me a lot, the closer team. So openers and closers are a team. So the gals or guys are the team that opens your building. Are they having bumps, or do you have that down straight, all set, but your closing team is having trouble? Or is your financial team, your bookkeeper or your directors doing reports on ProCare or whatever financial system you use, are they having trouble? You could have a customer service team, you could have pre-K team, age group team, school age team, summer camp team, and so on. So instead of just looking at it as site-based, look at it as position-based as well. Okay, so we're going to go on to our first stage. First stage is forming. This is the very beginning. This is when everybody meets each other and you're really excited. You as an owner or director have had a staff, your hiring team, work on recruiting staff. You've gone through all the due diligence. You've done the orientation with them. Now they're at your school and they're forming. In general, the staff that are at the school are feeling a ton of relief. They're like, thank God we've got that 2-year-old teacher. Oh my goodness, I've got a closer now that's going to help me at the end of the day so I don't have to stay as late. So the forming stage is what I call the honeymoon stage. Everyone, the new staff are added and everyone's excited. The new person is coming in. Oh, I like this job better than my last one. Maybe they were at another program and you're offering more money. You're offering a better culture fit, really good core value alignment. Maybe they've come from retail, so they don't have to work at night and on weekends, but they're coming in. This is the time they are most susceptible to your training and your excitement and enthusiasm for them. The staff that are there, as I said, they're just a lot of relief. Administrators are typically really confident about a decision. They're really excited because they bear the brunt of everyone being frustrated. Parents are upset when a teacher leaves, co-workers and other staff. If someone calls out, then I'm going to call out too. It's really stressful for administrators. And initially, the training and onboarding orientation should go really well if you spend the time and have your systems in place. What happens is, and this honeymoon stage can last for a while, if you've got clear roles and responsibilities set up and have an expectation that they're not going to perform well at first, having a mentor teacher, all the things we and you all know, and we talk about a lot, those are the things that will be really important to set up. But the veteran staff members will possibly, and if they're engaged and paid to help you, this part is really important that we, have a smooth start. Other things you can do would be, paying your mentor teachers a little bit more to help that new person make it through whatever your probation is, maybe 90 days, to really engage and welcome them with the welcome gift and the t-shirts and welcoming them maybe online in your Facebook groups and so on. But there's lots of things you can do on that honeymoon stage to give you just a little slight edge. That's actually a book that's a really good book. It's the one thing you can do to make your onboarding or your orientation just a little bit better. Think about that for a minute and think like, what would give you a slight edge? Next stage is the most interesting one. And I almost always have people, because I do this talk a lot, talk to me about this stage. Everybody loves it because it's dramatic. This is the storming stage. So on the storming stage, just like a real storm with thunder and lightning, or it's a hurricane or a snowstorm and everybody's buried under. Think about how visual that is when I talk to you about a storm. And then it's a really easy, fun way to teach your staff about it. So no matter what, all of a sudden reality sets in. I actually call the storming stage a reality check. The new person gets stuck behind a school bus or a tractor or, got pulled over by the police for speeding, whatever the excuse, and they're 10 minutes late. And the staff are irritated. They're especially irritated because they walk in with a Starbucks in their hand or, donuts or something for themselves, something like that. And, yes, we've already onboarded them and told them they need to be on time, but that somewhat lack of respect or lack of planning or their child forgot their lunch and they had to stop at the elementary school, all of those little things. If you haven't built up that emotional trust and that relationship building, the staff are going to be really irritated. The first time, probably not. The second time, they'll still give them some grace, but now all of a sudden it's a storm. And so that reality is, oh, well, that person isn't quite so perfect. Or maybe they're helping at they're a closer and they don't mop as well as someone else does, or they forget to check the bleach water with the litmus paper. They're not doing everything they need, some more retraining. And so that creates a bit of a storm. There's sometimes competition and conflict. They're going to have lots of questions that could be really irritating. And conflicts will arise. Remember, I talked earlier about what's everyone's natural learning style or natural style or generational traits. Remember when I said about boomers versus zoomers, the Gen Zers. There could be a lot of stress for your veteran staff members that are mentoring the new staff. Maybe they're calling out. You know, in the first 2 weeks, everybody gets sick. They're just around little kid germs, so they're going to get sick. So during the storming stage, the old staff, the veteran staff are going to feel frustrated at some point, and the new staff are going to feel frustrated. If you've already talked about that at onboarding and you're reminding your staff, all of them at a staff meeting or in your communication with them, hey guys, yay, now we're in the storming stage. Storms, what's fun about a storm, got to be really positive about this, is it's cleansing, it's dramatic. It doesn't get worse than this. This is very normal when a group of people work together. And a lot of times I talk about this in like an hour and a half. I'm doing it in 20 or 30 minutes today. I talk about groups that you've been in before, whether it's a church group or a book club, a country club group, a Girl Scout group, your sorority, you get it, your golf group, your tennis group. When you add somebody new, you know, it's like super exciting and then not so much. They forgot their racket, so I don't know. I'm not a tennis girl, so I don't know that example very well, but you get the idea. So everybody gets irritable. And so what you do is you want to stop and shine the light on what's going on and just stick to nothing personal, the issue, the question, you know, just keep it very non-gossipy, non-personal, and answer questions and be very present as an admin or for your directors. Again, the storming stage is dramatic. But storms end. What's good about a storm at the end? I mean, it ends and it's quiet. Everything is cleansed. So if you talk to your staff about that, like, let's get through this together, guys. That's when you want to do all those extra things like bringing lunch in or doing all those fun things. Next stage. So we've done forming, storming. Now we're norming. Norming is an acceptance stage. Everyone actively knows what their roles and contributions should be. Nothing's perfect there. It's not perfect ever, guys. We're in the early childhood business. So what I love about it actually is that every day is different. So we're norming. Things are going well. Members are willing to change ideas and opinions. There should be, during norming, more leadership shared. Now that someone's here a while, maybe they could be the supervisor at closing, or they could take on your social media. And so you're starting to really assimilate that new staff member, or usually several new. And hopefully the cliques and the gossip has dissolved because more trust has been built. We've gone through that storm. Sometimes in any stage, you're letting someone go. You're realizing they're not a culture or core value fit. Of course, that's going to happen. When that happens in any stage, so say in norming, you realize somebody's really not a culture fit. Everyone else is norming. You've got to go all the way back to square one, forming again. And then in norming, the acceptance, that positivity is going to really matter. And then the major task of the team in this stage is to keep information flowing and to solicit feedback. Just giving feedback and receiving feedback will help that norming stage get to the stage that we all want. Super hard to do though, is the performing stage. The performing stage is when there's a high level of trust. And that would also include your parents. Everything is going really well. This is the time when you can think about growing. It's the time when you can add new programs. Maybe you're ready to buy a bus and do before and after school care, or you're ready to build, add on to your building or buy another program. Still a really good time to grow right now. The trust stage, the performing stage, is not reached by all groups, sometimes ever. Especially if you're in a transient population or you're not as successful on your recruiting and retaining your staff. It's most productive because everyone works independently. we all remember the days when you would do your professional development in August or September, and the school year just kind of unfolded, and you hit all your marks on back to school night and all your different holiday events. And our biggest bump then might have been a big flu outbreak or some type of nonsense with a staff member or a child getting hurt, something like that. It's different now. This is when that intense loyalty for each other, and by the way, should be for your company and your program, is really important. And then, so this is a great stage. The last stage, and I'm down to 4 minutes to talk about the adjourning stage. As I said, I'll probably create one completely on this stage because it's the most interesting to me right now. This is when we say goodbye. We say goodbye when someone's not a fit, and hopefully we're doing it with grace. Maybe they're not a culture fit. Maybe there's something that has happened that has broken trust, but saying goodbye in a graceful way, because the fact of the matter is we're in small communities and social media is pretty wicked sometimes, that we want to make sure that we let them go as positively as possible. And whether you're letting them go or they're leaving on their own. The adjourning stage, a lot of communication, wrapping things up with an exit interview if possible, and really just making sure here's the status, you're leaving in good standing. I am happy to write a recommendation letter, which nowadays with the labor laws, it's a little trickier, or I don't suggest you use us as a reference if that might be the case. But that adjourning stage is really important. And hopefully, ahead of time before there's an adjourning stage, and your staff members give you enough notice, or you give the staff member enough notice. The position is ending. I'm not going to have a curriculum development specialist anymore. So come, June, this position will no longer be available. You're welcome to apply for something else. Anything you can do on the adjourning. People move away, people stay home for all different reasons, but really celebrating and thanking that person for their contributions will make a really big difference in terms of really having you ready to go for that next stage. The adjourning stage is a stage where, again, you're back to square one again, back to that forming, storming. So just to recap, I'm down to about 1 minute. To recap, the stages of teaming: forming, that's the honeymoon stage. The storming, the storming, that's the very dramatic reality check stage. The norming, that's when things start to really move in the right direction. Performing, very high level of trust. Adjourning, opportunity to build relationships. And that's all the time I have. That's all the time we have today. I am, again, very happy to connect with anyone that has more questions. Look for me to do an adjourning whole presentation, because it's just a perfect time right now with the age and the challenges we all have. My name is Kathe Petchel. I'm the Hinge Advisors Client Relations team member, and always happy to talk shop. Thanks so much.